Yo, what's up, guys? It's me, it's your boy Zeladon, and today I've got for you the World of Kings Cleric class and its subclasses, which are the Exarch, Saint, and Lightbringer. Alright, first our base Cleric class, which has the normal attack called Light of Smiting, which channels Smiting Light at the target 4 times, dealing 192% of attack and spell damage. When used on an ally, it channels the Light of Enlightenment, which heals the target for 110% of attack every second at the cost of 16 mana every 0.5 seconds, and lasts up to 4 seconds. Increasing casting speed will reduce the channel time on that. Next we have Flame Strike, which has a 10-second cooldown and 20 meters of range. The sacred flames fall from above, dealing 156% of damage and holy damage, causing the target to be ignited and slowed, taking 10 spell damage every 2 seconds for 14 seconds. The ignite effect stacks up to 2 times. At the same time, grants surging fire that instantly restores 1% of maximum mana to you, and increases normal attack damage by 30% for 8 seconds. And next we have Light Pulse, which blasts up to 6 enemy targets within 5 yards, has no cooldown, 3 meter range, dealing 131.25% of attack and spell damage, reducing their hit chance by 20% for 6 seconds, and has a 20% chance to reset the cooldown on Flame Strike. And then we have Shield of Devotion, which is a 7.5 second cooldown that heals the target and grants a shield that absorbs up to 405% of attack in damage for 15 seconds. The healing is equal to 10% of the shield's absorption. While the shield is active, the healing received is increased by 10%. Next up we have Prayer of Healing, which is a group heal that heals up to 5 allies for 300% of attack and grants the Holy Word effect, increasing their damage bonus by 18% and haste by 10% for 8 seconds. Each time you cast it, the cooldown of Power Word Heal is reduced by 6 seconds. Holy Word is a raid damage boost. Multiple raid damage boosts cannot be active at the same time, which basically means there's a lot of healer classes that have these raid damage boost abilities that cannot use them at the same time. They will cancel each other out. Next up we have Angel's Aid, which allows you to fly to a location, healing up to 6 allies within 20 yards for 243% of attack and dispelling their harmful effects. Targeted ally will be additionally granted Angel's Aid and healed for 243% of attack every 3 seconds for 6 seconds. Meanwhile, your threat is removed, you gain 20% damage reduction, 12% damage bonus, 30% movement speed for 10 seconds. When used without a targeted ally, you gain the above and just stay where you are. Next we have Power Word Heal, which is a 1-minute cooldown and is available when any raid member or ally is below 70% health. Heals up to 6 allies nearby for 405% of attack and dispels harmful effects. And last but not least, we have Mass Res, which does exactly what you think it does, 1-minute cooldown, reses everybody, but cannot be used in combat. The first subclass we have up for the Cleric is called Exarch, and its first unique ability is called Radiant Smite, which has a 4.5 second cooldown that unleashes Radiant Smite at the target for 174.75% of attack for holy damage, reducing the cooldown on Light of Faith and Radiance of Vigor by 1.5 seconds, up to 2 charges. And then we have Holy Hammer, which is a 12-second cooldown that hurls your hammer at up to 3 enemies within 4 yards of the target, dealing 226.5% of the damage in holy, interrupting spellcasting, causing them to be rooted for 2 seconds. Successfully interrupted targets will also be silenced for a short while. It also grants a buff for up to 6 allies within 8 yards, increasing damage done by 20%, critical strike chance by 15% for 18 seconds. This is also a raid damage boost ability. Next we have Holy Mending, which is a heal for 720% of your attack. Next we have Light of Faith, which does 480% of your attack damage as holy to enemies, and 480% of your attack damage as healing to allies. The critical strike chance of the ability is 1.5 times that of normal abilities, and when it crits, your next Holy Mending becomes an instacast. Next up we have Radiance of Vigor, which is a 12-second cooldown, available when any raid member or ally within 20 yards is below 80% health. It surges from you, healing the 6 most badly wounded allies within 20 yards for 378%. Then we have Divine Shelter, which is a 3-minute cooldown, in combat only, available when targets are below 70%. It bestows your spiritual power on the target to grant a shield that absorbs damage up to 21 times your spirit, increasing the armor and resistance by 140. It lasts for 8 seconds, and the ability does not trigger your global cooldown. Whew, okay, let's take a moment to breathe for a second. And okay, the Exarch's awakening ability is called Solar Fury, which absorbs the rage of the sun, increasing your damage done and healing by 35% for 20 seconds, during which time your Holy Mending becomes instant and your Radiant Smite and Light of Faith hit up to 5 targets. And for our Exarch's passive ability, we have Judgment of Light. When casting any holy damage abilities, increases your healing by 10% for 6 seconds, stacking up to 2 times. Anytime you take melee damage, you gain 10% damage reduction for 8 seconds. The next subclass we have up is the Saint, which has mostly the same abilities as our base Cleric class, with a few unique ones here and there. The first unique one is called Regenerate. Even several limbs may regenerate again. Instantly heals the target and several other allies with the lowest health for 50.62% damage, plus an additional 50.62 every 3 seconds for 15 seconds. The next unique one is called Power Word Stun, which is 1 minute cooldown, available when the target is ignited. It bestows divine power to punish the target and other enemies nearby, dealing 473.25% of attack and causing them to be stunned for 5 seconds. And then the Saint's Awakening ability is called Life's Tribute, which increases healing received by 40% for 20 seconds, during which time sustaining fatal damage brings the target back to 100% health. Effective only once, so for that 20 seconds it can only be brought back to 100% health one time. Last but not least, the Saint's passive ability is called Guardian Angel. Upon death, you become an angel for 20 seconds. Being invincible, you can use healing abilities but cannot move. When the effect ends, you die. Your Flame Strike reduces the cooldown on Power Word Stun by 6 seconds, and your Light of Smiting has a 5% chance to reset the cooldown on Flame Strike. And our last subclass for the Cleric is called the Lightbringer. Its first unique ability is called Searing Light. It has a 4.5 second cooldown, channels 3 beams of Searing Light at the target over 2 seconds, dealing 91.5% of attack and decreasing the target's hit chance by 20% for 6 seconds. Increasing casting speed will reduce the channel time. You can move while casting and deal additional 30% damage when Surging Fire is active. Next we have Holy Prism, which is a 20-second cooldown that fires a beam of light that scatters to strike a clump of targets. If the beam is aimed at an enemy target, it deals 270% attack and radiates 270% of healing to 6 allies within 12 yards and grants them Fiery, increasing their damage done by 24% for 30 seconds. This is a rate effect damage boost. If the beam is aimed at a friendly target, it heals the target for 540% of attack and scatters to up to 3 enemies within 12 yards, causing them to be slowed for 10 seconds. Either option grants you the Fiery buff for certain. We had Divine Shelter before. And next up we have Sanctuary. This is a Divine Sanctuary that protects all allies within 8 yards, reducing their damage taken by 20%, causing them to be immune to movement impairing effects. Allies in the Sanctuary are healed for 40% of attack every second for 10 seconds. This is the Awakening ability for the Lightbringer. And last but not least, we have our passive ability called Dawning Light. Delos Radiance is both the Searching Light that purges evil and the Dawning Light that breathes life. Except cleave damage, 40% of your damage done is converted into healing on up to 5 injured allies within 20 yards. Alright man, I see you still watching my videos. I know who you are. I've seen you. I look at the analytics for all my videos. You watching my videos almost every day. But you're not subscribed. Why aren't you subscribed? Hit that subscribe button. I got a baby, 3 weeks old. It needs food. It's hungry. Just help us out with that subscribe. It costs you nothing, man. It costs you nothing. Get us some food in here. Thanks for watching, everybody. See you guys next time in the next video. Peace.